Hello, everybody. My name is Aiden Burson, and this is the first ever episode of the Roundup. So, as an intro to the Roundup channel, I'd like to give a description, what it's going to be about. So, a lot of these talk shows, nothing against them, Undisputed, The Herd, Nick Wright, Stephen A. Smith, First Take, all of these shows, they talk about the same topic. The Cowboys, the Lakers, LeBron, MJ, Tom Brady. I want to give, as a fan of teams that are not the Lakers, the Patriots, and those teams, I want to hear about my teams, and that's why I started this channel. I want to give everyone my opinion on every one of their teams. So my first series is going to be previewing all 30 NBA teams, and my first team is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. I am a Brooklyn Nets fan, so that's why I chose this as my first team and my first video. So to get into the Brooklyn Nets, their coach, obviously we haven't figured out yet, Jack Vaughn, went 2-0 as a Nets coach. I don't know how much I like him as a head coach. I know he was a head coach for the Magic a while back, but he's fine. If this season continues and we somehow win a game against, in the playoffs, whoever we would match up against, however it would work, if it's East versus West or 2 versus 17 seed, because right now the Nets would be the 7th seed as they're 30-34. But looking into next year, coaches I would want would be Mark Jackson and Tom Thibodeau. At the end of the day, if you're not getting one of the best coaches, coaching really doesn't matter that much to me. Because if you have KD and Kyrie, you don't really need to be coached a lot. Like, you really think Frank Vogel's the best coach in the NBA? That's why the Lakers are doing so well? No. It's because they have LeBron and AD. Basketball coaching matters the least in a team sport because it's more generated on the players. Like in football, if you don't have a good coach, you're not going to win. So getting into the Nets roster. So the point guard position, we obviously have Kyrie, Dinwiddie, and even Karras could play some one when Kyrie was hurt. He'd play some backup one. And Chris Chiozza, who I actually liked. He played some pretty decent minutes when Kyrie went down. And against that Celtics team where Karras dropped 51, Chris Chiozza played a chunk of the minutes and was just feeding Karras the ball, and he was just knocking down shot after shot. So Kyrie, obviously, I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy. I love him as a player. He's really, really fun to watch. I mean, you can't keep your eyes off of him. And he averaged 27 points. Is he a true point guard? I mean, he averaged 6 assists, but it's more just he's getting double teamed. Not that, what's it called? He's looking to pass. Also, Spencer Dinwiddie, he's not really a true point guard either. He's looking to score all the time. He's always looking to score. He's looking to attack. He's also 6'5", so he's a bit on the taller end. But he's more of a true point guard than Kyrie because he tries to get other people involved. We saw some glimpses of Kyrie when he came back the second time. Like the first 5 minutes of the game, he wouldn't take a shot. He would let Dinwiddie get going or whoever was starting, Karras get going. Jared Allen get a few dunks. He would let Torian knock down a few shots, which he rarely made anyway. I'll get into him later. Then we have, at this 2 position, we have Karras, we have Garrett Temple, we have Joe Harris, who runs a 2-on-3. Joe Harris is going to be a free agent. Hopefully you re-sign him. He's just a great player to have on your team. A knockdown shooter who's an underrated driver and finisher and a decent defender. Just because he's a white guy who could shoot doesn't mean he can't play defense. He's not like 6'1" like JJ Redick. He's a pretty tall and bulky guy. He's not going to just get blown by every time. He could D up pretty well. Karras, he's my favorite player on the Nets. So he obviously dropped 51 points on the Celtics. That's really the only thing you've heard about him. But when he came to the league, he was obviously drafted by the Pacers and then traded to the Nets. But he was my favorite player immediately. You saw these glimpses. He's such an athlete. Things he could do, like, athletically. Like, he could hit these fadeaways. He could, like, stop and hit this floater when there's a center coming up. But what scares me, every time he's on the court, I feel like he's going to get hurt, which is just a scary thought in general. You never want to see a player get hurt, especially of this caliber. Last year, people were arguing before he went down with that terrible ankle injury that he was going to be a all-star, which I don't know if that was going to happen, but it was definitely a possibility. He was averaging like 18 points a game. He he just looks fragile out there. Like, every time I see him, I'm just scared that he could break his other ankle. But he was getting into his groove, especially when Kyrie was hurt. He was getting more shots. Sadly, that's been the theme of this year. Whenever Kyrie went down, Dinwiddie got going, and then Karras got going. And then Jared Allen was doing his thing. But with Jack Vaughn, the immediate day that Kenny Atkinson was fired for whoever knows what reason, he didn't like Kyrie, or they just felt like he wasn't the right coach, which is understandable because Kenny Atkinson is a rebuilding coach. He's going to go to a team like Chicago or the Knicks, and he's going to reset the culture. But is he a great coach for just winning a championship? No, he's really not. He doesn't have great rotations. He sometimes doesn't know when to call right timeouts. He makes some good plays, but he's more of a rebuilding team kind of coach who helps players develop. Like this Nets team, he definitely helped Dinwiddie, Karras, Joe Harris develop. These guys were all like late picks. Joe Harris was a second-round pick by the Cavs and was in the G League. He was done. So was Spencer Dinwiddie. He was in the Pistons G League. He got cut. So the Nets, with Kenny Atkinson and his training team, helped to revitalize and bring out the best out of these players that were kind of dropped and not thought about anymore. So getting into the small forward position, we obviously have Joe Harris, who ran some three. You also had Taurean Prince, who ran some three, and Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot, who I also liked a lot. He came in with his energy. He can knock down the three. He plays defense. But there's nothing special about the three. I mean, Joe Harris usually played it this year, and again, I already got into him. He's a knockdown shooter, and he could hit his shots if you get him the ball, which is huge in the playoffs. I mean, last year against Philly, he didn't really get a shot off that well, but again, that was a different type of team where you didn't really have to focus on a guy like Kyrie or KD, where D'Lo's your best player who is good but isn't that efficient of a player. He shot like 40% in the playoffs. I get the argument all the time they should have kept D'Lo. But you look him at the T-Wolves and the Warriors, I mean, he's a great player and all, but he's not leading a Nets team to a conference championship or an NBA Finals. He's just a fun player. That was a fun team to watch, but if you actually want to win a ring, you have to have players like Kyrie and KD who are toxic players. I agree, but you need them to win championships. You need superstars, and D'Angelo Russell's an all-star caliber player, but he's definitely not a superstar. Who knows if he can develop into one? But now getting into the power forward position, this is what the Nets really need in free agency coming up, a true power forward. Taurean Prince was horrendous. When I mean horrendous, he was terrible this year. God awful. I mean, he averaged like 12 points a game. Let me check that. He averaged 12 points a game on 42% from the field. Every game, 33% from three, which is terrible. He was jacking up threes like 6 a quarter, it seemed like, especially in the first quarter and the fourth quarter, where he was trying to make game-winning shots when it wasn't his shot. Spencer Dinwiddie would have 43 points in a night, and he would be taking the last shot in the corner contested, and it would be a brick. He can't play defense. When he tried to guard Giannis, he had dropped like 40 in 3 quarters. He can't really score. He was good on the Hawks. He's good for a bad team because he'll put up solid numbers on bad efficiency, and he'll look good. That's why I liked him at the beginning. I didn't realize it was just good numbers, bad efficiency on a bad team. So I've grown to hate Taurean Prince. He's a terrible fit. He doesn't do anything well for the Nets. He can't play defense, and he's not big enough to defend any superstars that they need to guard, because next year KD's not guarding Giannis, or KD's not guarding LeBron or AD or anyone. I mean, I guess DeAndre Jordan will guard AD, but he won't guard. You can't guard Kawhi. I mean, you need a true power forward that could stretch the floor maybe, but most importantly could play defense. And looking into the free agent class this year, it's not really that deep of a class. I mean, Hassan Whiteside's there. Serge Ibaka's an interesting player who could stretch the floor and play defense. But is he quick enough to guard someone like Giannis? I mean, I guess, but Derek Favors is another interesting option. Otto Porter maybe, but he's going to take his player option. So there isn't really that deep of a free agency class, but they can maybe make a trade. So continuing off of that, like inquiring about trading for Bradley Beal, there was a lot of different reports that the Nets would be interested in that. I don't know what a trade package would be like. It'd probably be Dinwiddie, Jared Allen and a first-round pick for Bradley Beal or something like that. I don't want to give up Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, and Karras. I'd give up 2 of the 3, preferably keep Karras, because Karras is a good third option, while Dinwiddie's a point guard who would have to come off the bench, but Karras would be able to start next year. I mean, the idea of getting Bradley Beal is a great idea. I don't think it's a realistic idea because there's reports that he didn't want to be traded to New York or didn't want to be traded at all. And the reports really make it seem like it's not going to happen. But if it were to happen, it would be an insanely good fit. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. He could score off the pass. He could score whenever. And Kyrie's not going to stay healthy all year, obviously, and you need someone to carry a load. And KD is coming back after an Achilles injury, and so you would need a third star because, I mean, Dinwiddie was okay, but being a superstar that could carry a team when your 2 best players are not fully healthy, Bradley Beal could do that. Bradley Beal's been doing that. Although his team's not winning, the Nets have more players around him. I mean, Bradley Beal is a good first option. He was snubbed of the All-Star team this year. He's a great second option. And as a third option, that's the best team in the NBA. There's no way the Nets can't be the best team in the NBA with a combination of Kyrie, Bradley Beal, and KD. And DeAndre Jordan at center, and if they sign Serge Ibaka or someone like Paul Millsap or trade for someone. So going into the center position, this was the interesting one as Jared Allen was benched when Jacque Vaughn became the coach. That was obviously a problem as DeAndre Jordan was not happy with Kenny Atkinson not inserting him into the starting lineup. I think Jared Allen's a much better player than DeAndre Jordan at this point in their careers. DeAndre Jordan could score in more ways than Jared Allen can, while Jared Allen's just only could really dunk the ball and doesn't really have much else included in his game and is a little frailer. But he's much more athletic and could guard the 3 in a modern day NBA where 5 guys are being stretching out the floor and being able to shoot. But at the same time, DeAndre Jordan is a better defender in the paint as Jared Allen is known for his blocks, but at times gets bullied by people that are stronger than him. Andre Drummond dropped like 30 and 20 on him. If he puts on some muscle this offseason or right now during the time that we're in now, he will definitely be a much better player than DeAndre Jordan. I mean, if you think about it realistically, this is going to be the height of Jared Allen's career if he gets stronger, because his best part of his game is his athleticism, and that's going to peak in the next 2 to 3 years. So this is a perfect time for him because unless he somehow develops a jump shot, which looks terrible, he doesn't look like he has the mechanics for it at all, he's going to be stuck. And, he's going to be probably out of the league in, 10 years-ish. Because the league's obviously transitioning, and if you're not athletic, and if you're someone who's just sitting in the paint and not stretching the floor, and you're not athletic anymore, you have no spot. That's what happened to Roy Hibbert. He was big, but he couldn't stretch the floor, and he lost his place in the league. I like Jared Allen a lot. He's a great guy, and he could really be a 15 and 12 kind of guy if he puts on the right weight and develops his game. That's why I like this Nets team a lot going next year. For next year, I mean, they're obviously not going. If the playoffs resume this year, I don't see them really doing anything. I mean, KD's not coming back. That's established. Kyrie might play. He seems healthy now that he's had this time off. But there's no point. What are they going to do? Get out of the first round and somehow beat a team like the Celtics or the Raptors? I think they would play the Celtics first round if it was 2 or 7. I'm pretty sure. But the Nets' future is looking really bright, as no one expected this team. Sean Marks, arguably one of the top 5 GMs in the league. This team went from Brook Lopez and a bad D'Angelo Russell, who was traded for Brook Lopez, who no one believed in, to Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan. 6 players who are very good. And next year they could easily compete for a title. And that's why I like a lot about the Nets team. But at the same time, who knows? KD might not be the same person who was. That's a terrible injury. And Kyrie, he can't stay healthy. What if he can't stay healthy for the whole next season into the playoffs? There's a lot of ifs surrounding the Nets because it's not like the Lakers where AD doesn't get hurt, LeBron doesn't get hurt, and they both are known for being able to contribute the whole season. And teams like the Clippers, Paul George has nagging injury problems, but Kawhi rests. Kawhi gets these time to rest, and then he performs in the playoffs. I mean, no one can perform like him. So that's my preview on the Nets. That's my first video. Check out the Instagram. It's _roundup_talk show. This is my first video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like, subscribe. Thank you.